Caressa sent me this article and I had to chuckle a little bit. I even responded back to her because of the title. So the title says Diddy, Charlemagne the God, and other quote unquote black male leaders tell Biden to pick a black VP. Now we all know what just recently happened. I already discussed it in my live stream, but I wanted to keep this one separate because I could have incorporated I could have incorporated it in it, but I decided not to. And just wait till you hear who else they added into this. And when I saw this, I said, black leaders. See, this is the thing. They will choose people who they think is a quote unquote leader. And notice that all of the so-called leaders that they choose happen to be those who are in entertainment. I mean, you have Diddy, a guy who ran the whole vote or die campaign back in early 2000s and even admitted himself how much of a failure that was. And then you have Charlemagne, the same guy who, I kid you not, said for a couple of years while he was on the Breakfast Club early on that he wanted to suck a fart out of J-Lo's booty. I kid you not, he actually said that. Those of you who used to watch the Breakfast Club back then know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't believe me, you can always go and look it up. The soundbite is definitely still online. But I'm going to read this article coming from Forbes. It says, on the cusp of former Vice President Joe Biden's vice presidential announcement, a group of over 100 black male leaders, including rapper Diddy, TV personality Charlemagne the God, attorneys Ben Crump, and Bakari Sellers. These are examples of our black male leaders to everybody who's listening. And commentator Van Jones. Oh, this so-called list is laughable. And these are just, 5 names? I'm almost scared to hear the other 95. Penned a letter demanding he pick a black woman as his running mate. Now, this sounds more like past tense, like after or before who he actually chose. And I'm tired of them saying that, or labeling Kamala Harris as black when she herself didn't even claim to be black up until last year when it was convenient for her. But let me continue. Now, notice they said that these are black men that are saying that he needs to pick a black woman as a VP. Notice that none of them said, well, why can't you choose a black man to be a VP? See, it's like I said, it's so much more I could say about this because it's way more deeper than one would suggest. Like, what is this major push that they want a black woman so badly? Like, I'm not getting it. This is, like I said, this is the same woman who, if you look at her track record, she's not good for black people at all. But we shall see. Like I said, November is going to be real spooky, and the 4th is only a few days after Halloween. The letter asserts that the urgency for Biden to pick a black woman has gone from something that should happen to something that has to happen. Why? That's the biggest question. Why is it? Oh, because quote unquote black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. Okay. And what have we gotten out of that? And this is not just me asking because I'm a black man, but black women ask the same question. What have we gotten out of that? For too long, black women have been asked to do everything from rally the troops to risk their lives for the Democratic Party with no acknowledgement, no respect, no visibility, and certainly not enough to support. Now, here's the crazy part. They all voluntarily do that. They're not being forced to do it. They volunteer to do it. So if you volunteer to do it and you still don't get no outcomes and you still continue to do it, who's the dummy? The signers also declare their solidarity with a group of over 700 black women who penned an open letter on Friday decrying relentless attacks on black women being vetted for VP and stating that the time for black women in the United States is now. Do y'all see where they're headed with this? Now, I think I did talk about this in the live stream, and I'm going to say it here. Those palm color people are not going to want to risk her getting in as VP because if something happens to Joe Biden, because you know of his health and his age, and she becomes president, they're not going to run the risk. If they didn't want Hillary Clinton, a white woman, to be president, you know they're going to give Kamala Harris hell. A woman who doesn't know whether she wants to be black today or black yesterday and not black today, and and keep going forward. Failing to select a black woman in 2020 means you will lose the election, the black male's letter claims. Doesn't that almost sound almost kind of threatening type of thing? Let me read that again. If you fail to select a black woman in 2020, it means you will lose the election. So basically what they're saying is, if Joe Biden picked anyone else that wasn't a black woman, they wouldn't vote for him. See, they're going to see, watch this. This is, instead of them wanting to fight for actual tangibles such as reparations, like being discussed for the last year or so, they feel their tangibles is through a black woman. A same black woman who said that she would not do anything for black people specifically when it comes to reparations. Joe Biden said the same thing. But it's like, did any of you hear that? But see, the thing is, they completely shun all of that out and stick to, oh, we got to have a black woman in there because, representation. See, I made a comment a couple years ago where I said, I think white people are the biggest group of people who love symbolism so much. I take that back. I think black people might have surpassed that. Not saying white people don't, because they do, because they hang on to those statues and that Confederate flag like it's nothing. But apparently to some black people, having a black woman as a vice president means we have overcome something. I don't know what it is. And still, they never say why we need a black female vice president, other than it's symbolic. What does symbolism get black people? What does symbolism get anybody? The signers conclude we don't want to choose between the lesser of two evils, even though you are, and we don't want to vote for the devil we know versus the devil we don't, which you are going to do, because we are tired of voting for devils, period. Well, what do you think Joe Biden is? I mean, does the 1994 crime bill ring a bell? Does anything that Kamala Harris has done while she was the attorney general in California ring a bell? That has affected specifically black people, specifically even more so black males. These same black male, quote unquote, leaders that they have appointed to us, which I don't accept, are willing to push two people who have done nothing but harm to black people, but they want to call them our leaders. And that's why they want to have them be labeled as our leaders, because of the filth that came from this so-called pinned letter. They do not have me fooled. To those of you listening right now, they don't have you fooled. This is absolute nonsense. If they knew how much Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are being clowned right now, they just literally handed over the election to 45. I will be pleasantly surprised if they win in November. If they win, I'm almost curious which direction this thing is going to go.